Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Charlie Kirk has to completely re-educate this poor student who does not understand just how bad government corruption is and how good DOGE is at exposing the problems. Let's dive in.
When your claim is that you're trying to make the government more efficient, and then you arbitrarily fire a bunch of people, like for example, for the nuclear people, they were a bunch of them were fired, and then they had to get them back. You're wasting time and effort by randomly just and arbitrarily picking how to handle these cases. If your claim is that you want to be efficient, you should just government immediately start firing people. You have to go over this with a lot more methodical effort, and that's not what's happening. And on top of that, the DOGE administration will not save enough money. Even if you were to fire every single government employee, they would not even be able to get to a fraction of how much revenue we need to get for taxes. That's not enough, and it's not helpful.
No, I mean, I have these placards.
Sorry. And when you go over those placards, you can flash them and say that
it's $115 million
yes.
for equity assessment programs. That's a lot of money.
No, it does not. With regards, compared
This
to
is
how
not
much,
a lot of money?
compared to how much we need to run the country.
Hold on. This is a very important point you're making.
We're talking about scale here. About $2.6 trillion of revenue comes from our income taxes. If you're going to make these cuts, you need to meaningfully account for them.
This is a false argument. I'm glad you're making it, which is that we shouldn't cut it because it's not that big of a deal.
No, that's not what I mean.
So should we cut this? $115 million for equity assessment of existing program policies.
The point
cut.
The point is that if we're going
I'm going to make the point, but do you think this should be cut?
It depends. You need to make the argument that it's actually good. You can't just flash the dollar sign.
I'm going to flash
and
it.
then say
equity
that it's
assessments
bad.
of existing program policies, $115 million.
Yes, you have to justify that this program is helpful or not. You have to justify the existence of the program.
Yes, it should not exist.
Why? Why does it not exist?
Well,
Why
first
should
of
it not
all,
exist?
the president signed an executive order saying no more DEI.
Okay.
Equity assessment should have no place in the U.S. government because
Why?
equity is not constitutional. It's not in the U.S. Constitution. It's not an American value.
Why?
It's about redistribution. And
Yes,
$115 million is a grotesque amount of money to spend on it. So you should get rid of it to save taxpayer money. Now,
It's not
to your
saving
point,
taxpayer money.
it's $115 million to get rid of this. Now, it's also $144 million here of empty buildings. How about empty buildings?
Again, you can't just say empty building.
Well,
you have to go over a detail.
No, we did. That's why there's 97 of them. They reviewed the leases.
Yes.
They're vacated
Yes.
because of COVID. That's $144 million. So right here, I have $330 million. We're going to keep going, right?
Yeah, you can keep doing that.
No,
but you have to actually just justify why the policies are helpful or not.
This is what's interesting.
You can say how much they cost.
Hold on
but
a second.
If they do something useful for the government, then their prices make sense.
They're empty buildings. What use is happening for them other than landlords getting rich for nothing? The point is this. You think the government is innocent until proven guilty. I think the government, after what we've learned, is guilty until proven innocent. They have to justify why this money is being spent in the first place.
Wait a minute. That's how the law works. Innocent until proven guilty. You have to prove that
that's not how taxpayer money works, though. It's that if we find waste, you're going to have to over-justify why this exists in the first place.
Yeah,
Secondly,
but you just fire them. You just get rid of the program automatically before you've done the work.
Let me go back to a more thing. This is an argument they're making. Oh, it's not that much money. Even if you only save $100 in taxpayer money, that is a moral fight worth having. That attitude is why we're $35 trillion in debt. Secondly, which is very important, if you annualize DOGE's savings, you know how much they're on pace to save this year? $1 trillion. $1 trillion, which would then get us on path for a balanced budget. They're on pace because you say, oh, it's only $1 billion here. They've been in for 6 weeks. They've already saved $100 billion. By December, they'll be at $1 trillion. Our deficit is $1.6 trillion. We're going to lower our deficit in such an increasingly important way, and you're going to learn that you actually don't need these government agencies to run a country, that these people are unnecessary, it's bloated, these bureaucrats don't do anything all day long, and we need to right-size it because we're a nation in debt. We know we're $35 trillion in debt.
Yes.
In debt.
Yes.
And the only way we're going to get out of it is if we're honest, be like, how about no more empty buildings? No more $115 for equity assessment program.
Out of it is by
Biodiversity in Nepal, $19 million.
Again, those can be important. You have to those could be helpful.
Okay, so how could biodiversity in Nepal for $19 million? We spent $20 million for a new Sesame Street in Iraq. It's true. You guys can look it up.
Yes.
$20 million for New Sesame Street in Iraq. And because no one has ever had the courage to look through the books and look and examine the expenditures.
But that's not what's happening.
No, it has happened. No, Biden, Obama, they never looked through any of the federal expenditures. and we got to $35 trillion in debt. This is the first time in my lifetime we have an administration going after the waste, going after the size of government to balance the budget so that you guys don't live as indentured servants and Russian serfs for the rest of your life.
Whoa, what a zinger to end on. Man, Charlie Kirk is trying to get these students and these poor kids to fully understand just how brainwashed they really are. And that's a pretty tough thing to do. There's a whole allegory of it called Plato's Cave. And that is Plato realized that maybe we're being lied to. And so he leaves the cave, he sees what reality actually looks like, and so he goes back in and notices that there are people making shadow puppets on the wall. And the people there are still saying, this is reality, this is good. We love our little enclave, we love the cave. This kid has a similar problem. He loves the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is doing good things. It's helping people. We love and worship the bureaucracy. That is the mindset that has been an absolute entrepreneurial and American spirit killer that has been just rooting itself like weeds in a garden and now soaking up all the nutrients. It's taking away from good, healthy plants, and now we're going to have to go in there and we're just taking out the weeds. $19 million for biodiversity in Nepal? Do you know what that really sounds like to me? That sounds like someone's cousin. Someone in Congress has a cousin that really loves going hiking in Nepal and wants to make money off of it. And so that person opens up a nonprofit organization, a non-governmental organization, and they talk to the people of Nepal, they talk to their government, say, hey, we want to help y'all out in a certain way. Can you give us a good recommendation? We'll be able to bring money into your country. We'll bring money into our organization. The United States government will pay for it. That's essentially how this whole system with USAID works. And the people who have been screaming about, oh, we need to protect this because USAID means US aid. False. That's not what USAID means at all. It has ultimately been, and I'm a huge disciple of Cyber Mike Benz, who has been just shouting from the rooftops that USAID is nothing more than soft power for the CIA, and it's a money laundering scheme that helps Democrats and even some Republicans and their families collect easy paychecks for shady operations, all under the guise of soft power. And this poor kid, thinks that that's a good thing for the American taxpayer. It's not. Okay? This is not how you influence nations. This is not how you influence people. You don't do it by creating Sesame Street for kids in Iraq. You do it by working with the leadership of Iraq and ask them, hey, where do you need help? Are you even receptive to that kind of help? And can we help facilitate it? That's what you do. You don't try to infiltrate and go underneath those realms of power. That never works in third world countries. That doesn't work in the Middle East. That certainly doesn't work for biodiversity in Nepal. This is absolutely insane. And so that $100 billion talking point that Charlie Kirk is talking about, the estimated savings from the Department of Government Efficiency, this is from their website themselves, an official website of the United States government, the estimated savings, $105 billion. Combination of asset sales, contract lease cancellations and renegotiations, fraud and improper payment deletion, grant cancellations, interest savings, programmatic changes, regulatory savings, and workforce reductions. That to me sounds like a trimming of the fat and not cutting to the bone. Meanwhile, this poor kid is out here thinking that, oh, this is terrible. This stuff might actually be helping American citizens. And Charlie Kirk, he just holds up these three little signs saying $144 million being wasted on empty lots that we don't need to be using anymore. We don't need to be paying for this. Then there's another, I think, $117 million that was being wasted on another study on equity in the United States. That sounds to me like a think tank that can do that on their own money with their own charitable organization and not from the U.S. taxpayer. This should be a very easy thing to understand, but this kid has been born and bred to think that, thanks to the way we do our education system, has been born and bred to think that the way we use our bureaucracy is good for the American people. Wrong. Bureaucracy is good for the bureaucrats. It is rarely good for anyone else. Then that education system also has the idea that the people in the bureaucracy are doing it for the people. No, no, not really. They're doing it for an easy paycheck. It's a job with almost limitless security, and you can also do this from your own home now. And so we're starting to look at the entire federal workforce and then say, what is it that you do here? And instead of thinking that maybe that's a good way to figure out who's going to be good in a government capacity and who wouldn't be, this kid then turns around for one of the worst talking points in the past 50 years that, oh, if we start cutting federal employees, it's only a drop in the bucket. Well, Buster, when you're 100 pounds overweight and your doctor has said no more cheese pizza, you put down the cheese pizza. Okay? You don't put any more cholesterol into your veins. You start eating healthy. Instead of eating chicken thighs, you eat chicken breasts. Instead of eating ground beef, you eat ground turkey. Instead of having too much bacon, you know what you have instead? Have a nice smoked salmon. Okay? You start going healthy, you start changing some habits, and that's a good thing. Instead, this kid wants to enable the bad habits. And that's all because of the way our education system works, because it is intrinsically a bureaucratic nightmare that does nothing to help out students. It is the exact same problem we're seeing in our federal government, and Charlie Kirk is doing his best, and you can tell the kids behind him are just ecstatic. The kids behind this one little dude are all saying that yes, we agree with this. We need to deal with our deficit. We need to deal with our debt. And instead, this kid's going, no, I don't like it. Well, son, you better start liking it because it's about to get even better for the American people and worse for the bureaucrats who have been working too easily and too long under the current supervision. There's a new sheriff in town, and there's going to be some changes around here. So Charlie Kirk is doing his best to hopefully rework this kid and help him understand that we're in debt, we're overweight, and it's time to make some cuts. It's time to start exercising, and those are good things. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.